Welcome to Can We Talk Y'all podcast, where you can have conversation
without moderation.
A 90s feel
that hasn't lost its appeal.
With two girls and a guy
will catch your eye,
but not like that. So get your mind out of the gutter
and let's unclutter what happened this week.
Al, start this damn show.
Welcome back to another Can We Talk Y'all show. I'm your girl Felicia, and today I want to talk about the nest. It's not so empty these days, guys. Things have been changing for a while now, and I know I'm not the only family out there that is experiencing this. But y'all, the kids just don't leave like they used to. Let's talk about the differences in the generation. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take it back to the 90s when I turned 18. Before I turned 18, y'all, I could not wait to get out of the house. I loved my mama. We were like best friends. It wasn't like I was trying to flee from her, but I was sort of trying to flee from the rules and everything that she had in place. The curfews, I'm 18, I'm grown. I need to be able to stay out as long as I want to. And she had too many rules for me. That's kind of how I felt leading up to that. And so when I was in high school, I was like, I got to find a way out. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to college. That's what I'm going to do. I want to go off so that my family just can't drop by on me. But at the same time, I want to be close enough that I only have to go down the road a few minutes and I can get back home. So I did just that. I went 3 hours away from my hometown and I couldn't wait. And I loved every minute of it. And I stayed out there and now I didn't have to follow anybody's rules. Even my college, we had the library open 24/7. So they told the moms during orientation, they told the moms and dads, hey, your kids, if you call and they ain't there, we just advise that you just don't call because the library stays open 24/7. We were in the library at final time, but for the rest of the quarter, we were on quarter system back then. But for the rest of the quarter, we were somewhere else, partying, having the time of our lives. That was my desire. And so even after I finished college, I got me an apartment, I got a job, and I stayed out of the house. So that is what it meant to be growing up in the 90s. A vast majority of the people felt the same way. And whether they took the college route or took the military route or technical or a vocation, they got out of the parents' house. Now, slowly as we move to the 2000s and even in the 2010s, we start to see a shift. And that shift is looking like not only do they not want to get out of the house, they don't even want things like a driver's license. Some kids just like, I'm not into driving. Why drive when my parent, the slave, can just drive me everywhere and take me to all of my functions? And then, so they don't want to drive. They don't want to move out. And slowly you can kind of see things shifting even further. Sometimes they don't even go off to school, y'all. They just kind of stay at home and they fail to launch. So in the studio today is Abro, the producer.
Give myself a harp.
Okay. Okay, a round of applause. Sounds a little bit better. But yeah, April, what do you think about these new generations that have slowly evolved into this wanting to stay home? Now let's take out the factor that it's not affordable to live outside the house for a minute. but just the drive. What do you think about the drive of these kids today?
That's what I was going to say. It's pretty much unaffordable because everything went up except the pay. But I do think, well, when I look at our kids, I think the drive is there. Mm-hmm. It's just the income for our kids. You know what I mean? But most of these kids, why go and get why go out there on your own when you got all this responsibility? Well, I can stay here and pay a light bill or pay nothing and have my bread, and I can chill out and come home, and I know my mom and dad gonna have something to eat, and you know what I mean? So a lot of these guys guys and gals do fail to lunch, but I think it has a lot to do with the inflation. I do, my personal opinion. I think if they can afford it, mm-hmm. they would want to go. You know, our daughter was trying to move out 2 years ago till she realized how you talking about $18,000 to $2,000 an apartment gonna cost.
Yeah.
But now, can these kids be a little lazy? Yes. Can they be unmotivated to go to college, go to military? All they want to do is play video games and work a little fast food job? Yes, they can be. And I think, and I'm going to say this because I could be part of the problem. I think the problem lies with some of the parents, not all the parents. Some of the parents, because I think we might have coddled them a little too much and throttled them down instead of like used growing up. We had boomer parents where they was putting their foot on our neck and back, and they wanted us to get out because they want to live a little bit themselves. So I think now me, or I ain't gonna say you, I think me, I might have throttled my kids down a little bit because, hey, dad got it, dad'll do it, dad'll fix this, dad, you know what I mean? So I probably need to now I'm ready for them to launch, and so I probably need to push them out, you know what I mean, with a parachute, but push them out door.
And so in summary, basically you're saying we have made the nest a little bit too comfy and too cozy. And look, I get it. It's expensive out here. It is tough out here. Things are not the same in 2024 as it was in the 90s. It is very different. So I do get that part of things. But in our quest to give our kids better than we had, I think we spoil them tremendously.
No doubt.
And it's not, I don't mind if my kid is being responsible and they're in school, they're finished with school, but they're working and they just want to save their money and they want to stay at home. I actually don't even mind that. Mm-hmm. What I do mind is your refusal to become an adult, because I'm sorry, none of us can stay kids forever.
No, that's true.
And we're not raising kids, we're raising adults. They spend a small snippet, an amount of time as a kid, and they spend more of their life in the adult world. So it's really, in my opinion, about making sure that your kids can stand on 2 feet. And it can be non-traditional. I'm not saying you got to push them out like we were ready to do in the 90s. Like Abreu. Don't push them out like Abreu.
Don't push them out. No.
We don't have to do that. But we need for them to get lessons in life. And we need for them to learn those, because if we don't teach them those lessons, then the world would teach it. And it's going to be a lot more harsher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's tough as a person who has many direct reports represented by these generations, mostly Ys I work with, but actually, there's a lot of college graduates. So I'm definitely sure that we have some Generation Zs in my workplace now. It's difficult when you're the employer. So I want all my parents out there to put on a different hat. And this is a family show, so we're talking about a family topic, but I want you to put on an employer hat. And if you haven't given your children the basics, show up on time, Bring your best. If you're hired through a temp agency, be on time. You have a lot to prove because maybe that company might hire you as a permanent staff member. So you got to teach them the basics. They need to know how to do a resume. They need to know basic interviewing skills. They need to know just in general common sense. Is it okay for me to take a break and not clock out and stay gone an hour when your break is supposed to last 10 to 15 minutes? These are common sense things. The workplace, we find ourselves raising kids a lot of the times. And it's because the parents are, maybe they're besties with their kids. Maybe they hang out. Maybe they want to be cool with their kids. Or maybe some of them just don't want to be bothered at all. Either way, the kid has to get the same lesson that you got. And you can take a non-traditional route to getting them to the place to where they want to go out and get their own place and get, start their own family, get married, or whatever it might look like, or just be single out there. You can take a non-traditional route. That's okay. The lessons have got to be learned, though, and they need to start in the workplace. I'm sorry. I said it needs to start in the workplace. It needs to start in the house.
Yes. But like you guys over at your employment, feel like y'all having to guide and pull and push these kids. So is the teachers in the schools.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Having to push and pull these kids. I think we got some sorry parents out here. And that's what's breeding some sorry kids. And I know April's a little harsh. I don't beat around the bush. And I think that's what's going on. And then a lot of these kids get pushed through the system. And so when they get into adult world, like in the workplace, that's what you have. And you having some failures to launch. Physically, they 20, 25. But mentally, they 14 years old.
Yes.
And that's what we got.
Because they haven't had life lessons, because you protected them, parents. You protected your kids from everything. You argued on their behalf. If the teacher said something, you wanted to jump down the teacher's throat. Nobody in the family could correct your child because that's my child. Don't say nothing to my child. What happened to it takes a village to raise a child? What happened to that philosophy, that concept? Because it's not even possible for you, Dad, alone to instill everything into the child. It's not possible for you, Mom, alone to instill everything that child is going to need. It is through the village that you get the best result. Now, some people are out there and they're going to argue with this and they're going to be like, well, I don't trust nobody. And I get it, because we have creepy family members that are doing perverted things to kids, and they have ruined this for the family members that are actually just trying to correct a child. You know what I mean? And I'm saying child, but I'm not just talking about little kids. I'm talking about teenagers as well. Like, we're actually just trying to say, hey, pull up your pants. Hey, that's not how you talk to somebody that's older than you. Don't disrespect your elders. And because you don't want to say it to them, and then you don't want nobody else to say it to them. So how do we fix this?
Well, I think is at this point is unable to be fixed. And the reason I say that is because when you were speaking on the village, it takes a village to raise a child. Not only do we have creepy family members that the family know about and don't talk on or speak on. However, I fault the government. The government gave the child power. If your parents do this, you make sure you call CPS or tell the teacher, and they're going to get on them and they're going to take your parents away because they won't buy you that bubble gum, or they won't buy you that PlayStation or Nintendo, or they wanted you to clean your room, and you don't feel like cleaning your room because that's your privacy part of the house. No, it's my house. So I think the government gave the child power, and when the parents tried to correct, so many parents was having to get arrested or pay legal fees, and it was bankrupting them. So the parents like, I can't do this and work. So they just, over time, it wore the parents down. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's also the teachers. So it's the parents and the teachers, like they don't have the support, I think, that is warranted. They started giving the power to the kids, to your point. This is crazy because I do know some parents that would not care. Let's get in the mind frame of a child that doesn't get their way. Most of the time when children react like that, I'm about to call 911 on you, or I'm going to call, child services on you. Most of the time the kid is saying that out of the fact that they're in a temper tantrum. They're not getting their way. They don't like the discipline that's being handed down to them. Whatever the case may be, it's usually a very immature reaction. And out of that immature reaction, you got public officials, all these people that are on the side of the emotional kid. And then they're like, well, we're going to take the kid away. But I know some parents that would be like, call them. Because ain't no child going to run my household. And so if you want to make an emotional decision, you could get yourself taken out of the home because you're being emotional. Because first of all, a kid doesn't have the mental capacity to make a mature decision. Anybody that I would say is 16 or under does not have that capacity. Heck, I really feel like, I think you don't develop that frontal lobe to your brain until you're at 20 something. So you're going to make some emotional decisions, and then you have these group of people that are trying to call the shots, listening to the kid make an emotional claim.
I think you got some cats like 50 years old, though. You ain't developed the frontal lobe.
I know.
I mean, let me say that. But being 100 with you, I'm a parent that believe in discipline. Yeah, my kids, I might buy them lunch, and they grown now, and but I do believe in discipline. I do believe in structure. I'm ex-military, so that's still in me. And I believe that you act a fool, I'm gonna act a fool. I believe in spankings. I know a lot of people. I'm probably gonna. This is Abru, not Felicia. Now this is Abru. I know a lot of people like, oh man, you can't spank your kid and stuff like that. But I believe in spankings and discipline. I grew up on spankings. I turned out a productive citizen in society. I'm not out here breaking in nobody's car. I'm not in prison, and I'm not dead, as you can see. So, and I have a family, I have a home, and I'm raising my kids to be productive citizens. They're all adults now, and they're doing well, and they're in college, and they're working. And so I believe that you have to have the discipline there. Now whatever discipline you might have, that's on you. But in my growing up, it was spankings. Some people might say, legitimate, get in the corner. Some people might say, I'm going to take your TV away. But whatever your discipline is, but I believe you got to establish that discipline early and have some type of, allow that kid to have some type of reverence for you.
Yes. So it was interesting that you used the word reverence instead of fear, because we don't want kids to be afraid. We want them to respect what I have said. And if you miss it at the age of 2, 3, 4, and 5, then you can expect 24, 25, and all the way up. You're going to expect some of those things to come back around and remind you of what their teenage life was like.
Yeah.
I believe that in the teenage years, you have to match intensity, because at that point, they're going through that age group where they're finding their voice. You know what I mean? They think they know it all, right? You know, they think they know more than you know. And they challenge. Let's talk about, you know, daughters will challenge moms at that age and start being real slick at the mouth. Boys will challenge fathers at that time. Strength, testosterone, right? So it's very important that as a parent that you have to match that intensity. We might do it different ways, you know, hey, you know, but all I know is depending on the situation, you might have your hands, I might put hands on you.
Hey.
So I'm not about to cower to a disrespect of my household. So
100, baby. 100.
I'm not going to cower to that. So yeah, there's those few points that we have, but you know, I think the main take home point that we want for y'all to key in on from this episode is that, you know, your child's experience may look different in 2024. And I think that's okay. But I think what April and I would agree with in your take home message is just that you have to discipline. You cannot skip that stage. You have to instill the right values into kids, and you have to teach them through experiences so that they don't go off into the workplace and they're still showing some of these behaviors like, you know, that I might experience sometime at my job, you know, that make no sense. They're not even common sense. They don't make sense, and they're considered theft, and they're considered, you know, falsifying documents and all kinds of stuff that you can get in trouble with in the workplace and lose your job. So
let me ask you this. You know, April got to be silly. What if you trying to tell somebody something, they lay on the floor and start throwing a temper tantrum, they throwing some Yoko off? What are you doing?
I might black out and go get the switch. Lord help me, because I don't know. I might think they my own daughter or my own son.
They lay on the floor, start wailing, they feet and hands, they start yelling.
Don't do that in the workplace, ladies and gentlemen, young people that are out there listening. And listen, I actually kind of want to let's give a few words to the Z's and the millennials that are out there. I think the millennials are a little bit older now, but still they can find something useful. I just say, hey, you know, you may not have gotten the structure from home, but at a certain point and at a certain age, you gotta put your big girl panties on or bootstrap up or whatever the saying that applies to you. And you have to accept responsibility and accountability for your actions as an adult. So things happen. Life happens. We all grow up in different ways. 9 out of 10 of us, I'd say, have experienced some level of trauma. It could be everybody's fault. Is mama's fault? Is daddy's fault? Is everybody in the family's fault? But at a certain point, you have got to take the driver's seat of your life, and you have got to change the narrative. So all I'm saying is, young people that are out there, you know, make the most of your time. If you're in the nest today, make the most of that time. Save some money. Save up. It's going to be tougher for you to have your own home and have your own family. Much tougher than what it was like for us in the 90s and even the early 2000s. So make the most of that time, save, be responsible, stay respectful while you're under your parents' roof, because it is, if they are paying the rent and they're paying a mortgage and allowing you to be home during that time, they're, you know, just be grateful for that, because some people don't allow that. So with that, y'all, this was a great show. Thank you. We're looking forward to more shows this week, so be on the lookout, and we will see you next time.